Hello, welcome to another showcase video. This one is on me generic African rebels, 20mm, so they can be basically used as various opposition forces for some of the other figures I've got. They are virtually all liberation. There are some Elheim miniatures figures in there as well. Organisation wise, I've basically done a platoon again. That's the sort of skirmish level that I work at. It's obviously guerrilla armies. As I mentioned before, the organisation tends to be a little bit fluid. So what I've done for these is I've got them in. I've got a platoon headquarters and then 3 sections split into sort of 2 fire team groups. One of the fire team groups has got a support weapon such as an RPD or an RPK. The other group in the section has an RPG. I've kept it fairly fluid and loose, just so that they're adaptable. Obviously, in a lot of the rule systems I use, when you're looking at guerrilla forces, there's no set organisation, so you tend to have them in groups. So what are they used for? Well, in the Rhodesian games, they're obviously usable as either ZANLA or ZIPRA, which are the two, I'll use the word terrorist organisations. Other people might use the word, obviously, freedom fighters, but they're my figures, so I'm going to call them terrorists. So they're usable for that. Other bush war scenarios, I can use them as FAPLA or SWAPO to use against me South African Defence Force figures that I've got. That's basically how I'm using it. The last video I did, I mentioned a book, and talking to one of my regulars on my channel, Gav, he was sort of a suggestion. There's absolutely no harm whatsoever in recommending books as you plough along. I've still got a fancy to do a video on specific subjects, i.e. Rhodesian war books, that sort of thing, and doing a specific video on it. However, to link in with what Gav said, I've got a couple of book recommendations for you here to tie in with the Rhodesian subject. Couple of them because they're basically linked. The first one's this boy, The Elite by Barbara Cole. You can see this is a fairly battered copy. I picked this up, I think, in about 83, 84. It's on the Rhodesian SES, and basically all of the operations. Cannot fault it. It's an excellent book. Bit of a classic. Again, quite difficult to get a hold of. I will drop a link, an Amazon link. I'm not sure how much you're going to pay, but it'll be interesting to have a look. But I'll put the link on anyway. Excellent book. Basically full of text. There are some photos in, but it describes basically all the operations. Really, really good. Shortly after the release of that, I think about 85, 86, should produce this, which is The Elite Pictorial. Same author, again, absolutely brilliant. I can remember when I bought this, I'm thinking maybe his motor books in London or perhaps foils. It just absolutely brilliant, jam-packed full of photographs. Absolutely cracking stuff. Really, really good. So those are my 2 book recommendations for this video. I'll try and keep it fairly straightforward as normal. If you've got any questions about either how I've painted the figures or what manufacturers they are, just shout up, leave a comment on the video, and I'll do my best to answer you. So that's the current state. That's what we're going to look at today. It's what are we today? It's the 19th of July, and it's the hottest day apparently since British records began. So it's mirroring, I think, mirroring the Zambezi Valley. Maybe not quite, but it's getting up there. So if I'm looking a bit hot and flustered, that's what it is. Not the subject or my figures. It's the temperature in the painting room. Yeah, it's a bit horrific. Anyway, we'll now get down to the turntable and have a look at the figures. Right, so this is a platoon headquarters, guy with a SAM, sort of senior NCO figure, officer kneeling with binos and a radio operator. These are all Liberation miniatures. I've purposely done them a little bit random, obviously with them being Rebels Guerrillas. I wanted to get a little bit of a random look. Based on my normal system for 20mm figures, which are the little metal discs. Always liked Liberation. Regulars will know that I keep banging on about this, but I've always liked them. So that's where we are with the platoon headquarters. Right, first fire team, obviously a leader figure, guy with an RPK and 2 guerrillas. Again, random dress, did some East German camouflage pants on the guy, the raindrop camo. Really nice figures. I've got all sort of 6 fire teams on, so I'll just keep rambling on as they swap over. This next fire team, obviously, this is the guy with the RPG, and obviously 4 other guys with AKs. Right, second section here, leader waving, guy with an RPD, and a couple other guerrillas. Same as before, I quite like the green and the blue. Historically, there was quite a lot of wearing of that in the various organisations, so that's why I've stuck mainly to those colours. The second fire team obviously coming up now. So again, a guy with an RPG. The second guy, 3 other figures with AKs. Right, the third and final section, again, guy waving, NCO type, guy with an RPK, and 2 more with AKs. Basically stuck with AKs. Obviously, you've got the option of SKSs and perhaps bolt action rifles or submachine guns, but I was happy enough with sort of your standard generic AK for the rank and file. The second fire team in this section's coming up now. The guy with the RPG, he isn't Liberation, he's not Elheim. I cannot for the life of me think of the manufacturer. They produced a reasonable little range and they're quite nice figures. I'll do some digging and try and get it in the description, and give you a link. There's a support element here, so there's a guy on the left with an AGS-17 30mm grenade launcher, and a bit of anti-aircraft or ground rule firepower, ZBU on a 14.5 heavy machine gun. and some casualty figures. I use these quite regularly in various games. I've got them for most of the nationalities. These are Liberation and just obviously base painted using my normal techniques. And these are some Elheim generic African civilians, villagers type figures. Use them on the board, obviously, in the various rule systems. I've got a sort of a kraal that I built in 20mm, which I'll maybe get up as a separate video, and I use these figures to populate that. Well, there we are. So that was ZANLA, ZIPRA, FAPLA, SWAPO. Take your pick. If you've enjoyed the video, please like it, give it a thumbs up. Any questions at all, any suggestions, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. If you're not already a subscriber, please think about subscribing. You can do that from the main channel page, or alternatively, you can click on the button in the bottom right hand corner at the end of the video. That's a 28mm Empress modern British infantryman. Up next, basically I'm going to continue, the way I'm going to play it, as I mentioned before with the house move, is every Monday I'm going to do a showcase video. I'm sort of doing them in bulk and sort of scheduling them. Other stuff that I decide to do on the spur of the moment, I'll just intersperse and drop them in, and that's how we'll be going on. Okay, so once again, thanks very much indeed for watching, and we'll see you next time.